Welcome to the 7-8 podcast,
where falling down isn't failure
and getting back up is the secret to life.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Lexi Raphael and Michael Johnson back for another episode of the 7-8 podcast. And today we are going to be talking about the CEO of Starbucks, who didn't actually, he wasn't the founder of Starbucks, but he did invest in it and make it what it is today. So we're going to be talking about his 7-8 story. And before we do, maybe a quick word from the sponsor, Michael?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll jump right in.
Okay.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Business Choreography System. If you're an expert, educator, or entertainer trying to grow your business online, but you feel like you're missing a few steps, this system was built for you. It's the Lego set of business growth. We give you the pieces, the plan, the playbook, so you can finally choreograph a business you're proud of. Learn more at createmyimpact.com. Now, back to the show.
Awesome.
Welcome back.
We're back. Yeah, so I saw... Well, actually, I think a couple years ago, we saw an interview with Mr. Howard Schultz, who is the guy that we are going to be talking about today. And it was very insightful. I remember listening to that and just learning so much about Starbucks that I didn't know. And then I think it was yesterday or the day before, a post came up on Instagram more about Starbucks and his 217 failures that he had. I was like, we're digging in. This is for the 7-8 podcast this week.
Absolutely. So. I want to point out before you dig in, somebody mentioned in comments or in chatting with us about the show that, they didn't want to hear just about the famous people that had gone through the knockdowns. But here's the thing. There's a couple ways to look at it. Nobody's famous before they're famous. And they were all just like us. They were all just like all of us out here in the world before we were ultra famous. They're just going through and they're taking swings, right? And Lexi and I were having this conversation because her brother is a baseball player and a quite good one at that. And we were talking about the importance of the what they call at-bats. You have to have as many at-bats as possible, right? But if you don't get to swing, if you don't have a chance to swing at the ball, then you're 100% going to fail. You're going to 100% not get a home run. But the other side of this, and I'll use this as sort of the segue into what Lexi has prepared for all of us today, and that is that all of the home run hitters have had the worst strikeout rate of anybody. So you start back with Babe Ruth, who was the original, the OG home run hitter. And Babe Ruth struck out way more than he had home runs, but he had the most home runs. So it just kind of goes to show, and this carries over in all sports, but I think it also carries over in business and in life. Like there's just so many times that you have to be able to just say, okay, I'm going to at least swing, and I may strike out, but if I just keep swinging, I'm bound to get the home run. And that's what happened with Starbucks. And so that's my segue into it. Like he was a regular person. He didn't just he didn't come from something other than normal. And so it's okay. And think about it that way and put yourself in those shoes as you listen to the story in the background that Lexi has prepared with us today for us.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So we're going to start with the fact that Schultz was in a corporate career, and he left that corporate job in his late 20s to pursue this passion that he had for coffee. And he was a super successful sales executive, and he discovered this small Seattle coffee bean shop named Starbucks. So, as I said in the beginning, I I didn't I didn't realize that the person that had really made Starbucks what it is today didn't actually start Starbucks. He found
Crazy.
Starbucks. So I think that is really, really interesting. And he was intrigued by the founder's passion for quality coffee. He felt drawn to something more fulfilling than his corporate ladder climb. I'm sure there's many people listening to the podcast that have maybe felt that little pull. And Schultz recalled feeling constrained in the corporate world and yearned to chase an unconventional dream. A quote from him: "I could not settle for anything less. You must have the courage to follow an unconventional path." He said of his decision to join Starbucks as director of marketing in 1982. At the time, Starbucks had only a few stores, and friends thought he was taking a big risk, leaving a comfortable job for a tiny regional business.
Man, that sounds familiar, right?
Doesn't it?
People have been harped on for leaving a comfortable job and a comfortable position to go chase after a passion or a dream or some vision that they had that everybody thought they were crazy about.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Yet Schultz was driven by a vision he couldn't ignore. The leap of faith set the stage for everything to come. It was the first of many moments where he would risk security for a larger dream. So that's kind of
Wow.
the starting point of him and his uh, connection to Starbucks.
Right. What a cool beginning on that. You look at most people think, oh, I have to start it from scratch, and he had found this
Yeah,
other thing, and you're gonna tell some more about that story as we go. But
yeah,
just even finding that that business, that Starbucks at the time, and thinking, yeah, that's what I'm passionate about, and I'm gonna head that direction. It's kind
yeah,
of a cool little twist to the journey.
yeah, for sure. I love it. So we'll go into one of his setbacks along the way that he had. So in 1983, he went to Italy and he was walking through Milan and he was mesmerized by the espresso bars on every corner. And keep in mind, he was already at Starbucks, working at Starbucks at this time, and he loved the lively hubs where baristas knew customers by name and coffee was an experience, not just a product. And
Ah,
so Schultz returned to Seattle and he was excited to transform Starbucks into what he had seen in Italy.
that's
Uh,
crazy. You
yeah,
recently were in Italy. Were there
I was
Starbucks in Italy while you were there? Like, did you see any? Or was it
there.
all, like, coffee shops just like that?
Yes, there were Starbucks
That's
in
funny.
Italy.
What a cool 360 moment, right?
Yeah, there I mean, obviously, there were other coffee shops that existed, and
Sure.
they have some very interesting rules, like, if you get a to-go cup, you cannot sit down in their coffee shops. It's like, it's not allowed. We got kicked out because some of us had gotten it to stay and some of us had gotten it to go, and it's like, "No, you go." So it's very interesting their culture.
That
Anyway,
was in the
well,
coffee shops or in Starbucks?
that was in the coffee shops,
Oh,
so
okay.
a little side quest, but I'm sure that's what he was experiencing, right? Is when
Right.
he went, he was experiencing something like that. But yes, there were Starbucks, and they do their, like, traveling
Oh,
series of
sure.
mugs that they do, and
That's
so
cool.
that's something that my family and I love to do, is we love to get those mugs, and because they put the like, the sites on the
That's
mugs,
cool.
and so it's easy to remember your trip. So, anyway, it was like a thing. We gotta go find Starbucks so we can get our mugs. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so he came back and he was really excited about this, and he pitched this vision to the Starbucks owners. and they were not about it. The original founders were content with just selling the beans and the equipment because that was like Starbucks was very simple back then. That's what it is. We all kind of know what Starbucks is now, but it was just a very simple coffee shop, and so they were content with that, and they did not want to turn Starbucks into a cafe-centric business, and Schultz was pretty frustrated, and he was heartbroken about this idea. His vision and his dream, they said no.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Imagine that, an entrepreneur that was successful that got a no.
What the heck?
What?
This is weird.
No.
Yeah,
Mm.
and so in 1985, this was a couple years after he went to Italy, he felt like he had no choice, and he just had this vision of bringing the Italian coffee house culture to life, and he made the decision to leave Starbucks at that time, and
So he worked for them and then he left.
he did leave. Yeah,
Wow. And just when you thought the story was over.
I know, he left Starbucks,
Well,
and
that's what no stands for, next opportunity.
hey, I like that. I haven't heard that, that's really good. No, next opportunity. That's I need to write that down. That's gonna be like a no, I have sticky notes on my desk, and I need to have that written down. That's a good one. So, he, um, set out to now prove his concept, and that is when he set out to start his own company. Pretty crazy.
May have heard that a time or two.
Totally. I think the story is, I mean, it's just I think it's easy to connect with, and I
Sure.
think a lot of people have experienced something like this of having big vision, and first he leaves his corporate job to go and do this thing, and then he's in this job pursuing this, and then he gets told no, and now he starts his own thing, and
He clearly
yeah,
had a greater vision even at that time, which
yeah, he
I
did.
I think we can all relate to that. Like, sometimes we
Yeah,
go into something that we feel passionate about, but then we have a greater vision in our mind floating around, and sometimes it's hard to get out, and I know that
totally.
for a fact. Like, we talk to a lot of people where just helping them to get their idea out of their head sounds like silly. Like, of course, if I have an idea, of course I know what it is, but that's not necessarily true. And I wonder, so if any of you know him, uh you know give him a little hashtag 7-8 and maybe he'll come on the show, right? But
Hashtag 7, 8.
um and I'm curious, the only way we'd know is to ask him, but did he
Right.
have that big vision for it when he was working for them before he left, or did the big vision come later? And I'd be curious to ask him that and find
Like,
out.
do we just know the story as we know the story? And
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he left for a reason, though.
He did. So usually that comes with frustration with not meeting the expected vision that he had,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Usually, but who knows?
right. Yeah, for sure. So this led to uh there was a lot going on during this period of time of him struggling to launch, but he was determined to create this cafe experience he envisioned. He founded a company, uh, Giornali. I think it might be Il Giornali. I mean, that in itself, I'm like, that's a really hard name.
Well,
I have a hard time saying it.
note to self: do not pick hard names.
And so he founded that in 1985. Almost immediately, he ran into a harsh reality. Raising money for an unproven coffee bar concept in the mid 1980s was exceedingly difficult. He needed about 1.6 million to get it off the ground, and he
Wow.
spent a year desperately pitching to investors.
Wow.
He was met with skepticism, turned away over and over again by doctors, local business people, coffee experts. And he said, in the course of the year I spent trying to raise money, I spoke to 242 people and 217 of them said no. And that's the thing that people post about is there were 217 rejections before he got his yes. And this wasn't even for Starbucks, which is pretty crazy.
Wow. And that's just in case you're not mathy like like most people, that's 23 people finally at least opened the door and said maybe.
Yeah.
Right? 23
Well, and
people.
he needed $1.6 million. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
needed multiple people to come in and say yes to this idea.
Right.
And he later wrote, try to imagine how disheartening it can be to hear that many times, why your idea is not worth investing in. It was a very humbling time. Each rejection stung.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all of you out there, don't worry, we can't see you. Raise your hands if you felt that before.
Eek.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Sure.
that's a thing. It's
Yeah.
rough. It's definitely rough. When
Yeah.
you have that
And
big vision, that big dream, and you see what it could be, and you got a whole bunch of people that have the funds and the capital, and they're like, no, that's not a good idea. No, we're not. We don't believe in that.
that's rough.
Yikes. How you keep going through that? Like, how do you keep persevering? Well, 7-8, baby.
Yeah. 7-8 and just knowing
That's some
knowing your
serious
why.
resilience.
What did you say?
That's some serious resilience.
That is some serious
I like
resilience.
that though, knowing your why.
Yeah. And that's something that in our business choreography program where we help people from the beginning to launching their business, the very first thing that we do is we talk about the why, and we talk about the belief that you have to have, because there are going to be those moments that all those people say no, and you have to come back to that why. And so you said, how do you keep going? Well, that's how you keep going. You know your why. You have your moments of knowing that you have your 7-8 moments, and you can keep getting back up.
I think there's definitely a common thread in all the stories that we've talked about, and
Yeah.
that is for sure the thread. I think it's also when you're excited about what you're doing, it's also potentially one of the harder things to spend time on is spending time on the why, because in your mind and in your heart and soul, you're like, I feel the why. And
Yeah.
so you don't want to spend time writing it out or putting it down on maybe recording a Zoom video for yourself for later on, or most of the time people say writing it down, and that's because you feel it. And so during the time when you're excited and you feel it, there's not a whole lot of uh, impetus to try to, I'm going to define my why.
Well, you feel like you're immune
Right, like
in
it's never
that
going to go
moment.
away.
Yeah, you feel like that feeling is never going to go away. Oh, that feeling won't go away. But it does. And then when you're trying to grasp for that why in those moments, it is near impossible to actually get it and to actually find that why. And even when you have it written down, it's still hard to see it and hard
Right.
to focus in on it. And so I think that it's that much more important that you have it everywhere. You have a video, you have the words written, you have so many things that are in place that allow you to get out of your brain and get out of your head and go, "Oh yeah, that's my why. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot."
Well, and you said that earlier. You were like, "Oh, I'm going to write that down and put it on one of my sticky notes around my desk." And I think, even just the short versions, the little statements, the quotes that remind you about your why, those things are equally important, because sometimes you just need a quick little pick me up, a quick little reminder.
Yeah.
And I like note cards. Lexi likes post-it notes. Some people like digital notes, right?
I wrote mine. Oh, you can't see it very well. No, equal. New opportunity.
That's it.
Like that.
But having those around makes such a big difference. Some people put them all over their car, their steering wheel, on their
I used
dashboard.
to that was a thing that I did
Yeah.
for a really long time. I haven't done that in a while. I guess
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it's important.
I
I
should
have a bunch around about our businesses. I have a
yeah,
bunch around about, just things I'm trying to get better at. And when I
right.
face those moments that I'm trying to improve in my life or in my world, I have little reminders that I know that if I'm just in that space where I'm not moving and pumping forward, that I can look around my desk, and I will look around my desk looking and searching for some sort of little motivation, some little kick out of that slump. And
Yeah,
having those reminders there help. It helps
yeah.
me from continuing to slip or slide.
To
All
slip
right, what
right
happened next, Lex?
so continuing on, he during that period of trying to launch this company, there was a lot of struggle at home too,
Ugh,
and
of course.
he was told, let's see, let me Schultz had quit his steady job and had no income. His wife Sherry was pregnant with their first child and had to
Oh,
keep
geez.
working to provide a paycheck. Sensing Howard's struggles, Sherry's father bluntly urged his son-in-law to abandon the coffee dream and find a real job to support his family.
Definitely
Schultz
heard that before.
said, um, Schultz said, I was crushed. Schultz recalls of hearing his father in law say this. Already low from countless investor rejections, Howard now faced doubt from his family. That night, he told Sherry about her dad's advice, expecting that she might also prefer security over the risk venture. But Sherry's response became a turning point. My father did not have the right to say that to you, she told Howard. I know he's trying to protect me, but we're going to see this through and we're going to raise the money. Let me just add that he has a net worth of $3.3 billion right now.
Now. Wow.
3.3 billion. That's with like 1%, 1 to 2% of Starbucks right now.
Yeah, fun fact, I heard this on the socials the other day,
On
and
the socials.
on the socials, which I don't get on much, but did see this. Do you know how many years 1 million seconds is? Go ahead and guess. You
Oh,
guys
I
out there
saw
do it
this.
too. Oh, you know.
Yeah, I already saw
You
this
already know.
post. I'm
Okay,
so
so
sorry.
right there, wherever you're at, guess how many 1 million
Did I
years
send this to you?
in
Maybe
seconds.
that's why.
Maybe. Maybe that's why I saw it. It's 11 years. Wow, how'd you do? I'm curious. Okay, so how
No,
many years is a billion seconds?
the billion I thought was the 11
No,
years.
the billion seconds is like 34 years.
No.
Yes.
No, we need to find this video. I actually am pretty convinced that
Go
you're
find
wrong.
it right now. I'll talk. You can find it.
Okay.
I believe it was Mr. Rogan on Joe Rogan's one of his clips. And one
Okay.
of his guests was talking about it. We'll give him credit if we can find it. And it's either yeah, I think it's 34 years is a billion seconds. Now think about that for a second while
I
she
have
finds
it.
the exact. Oh, you go ahead and play it. Bring it up. You
Okay, I
can
have it
share
on
it.
my phone, so I've gotta just give me a second
That's
to
fine. I'll give you a second.
you
But
keep talking.
think about this in relationship to money. You think, oh, you've got $1 million, and that's a lot like $1 billion, but it's not. It's not. And the same correlation in seconds to how many years it takes for 1 million seconds compared to 1 billion seconds. That's the same correlation from $1 million to $1 billion. It's massively different, right? All right, you ready to play it?
Yeah, I
See
am
how
because I'm excited to see what the numbers
did
are.
you didn't share you haven't shared it
I
yet.
will share it.
I don't see it in the
I'm
in
going
the
to share it.
in the
Sorry.
stuff. All right.
Sorry.
Let's see it. Don't forget to share your sound. Um,
Yes.
Okay, so this is good. Make sure you give credit to the people that we get it from, because we appreciate that. But this is a big deal, right? Like, oh, you got it. It's ready to
Okay,
go.
here we
Okay,
go.
here we go.
The difference between a million and a billion. Here's the difference that people don't realize. A million seconds is how many days would you guess?
30 days.
That's a great guess. Okay.
Is it?
It's 11 days. That's good.
Oh.
Most people are
11 days.
11 days. Oh, I was off on the years. 11
Yeah, that's it.
days.
I was like, I thought it was only days for the million.
Yeah.
how many days is a billion seconds?
How many?
31 years. The difference between a million and a billion. Here's the difference that people don't realize. A million.
There you go. That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was days versus years, and that's like it's like mind blowing.
A million seconds is 11 days. Yeah, that's where I was off. I said 11 years. 11 days. But I was right on the years. Now, if you think about that in relationship to $1 million and $1 billion, what? That's crazy sauce. Like $1 billion's a lot more than $1 million. That's a clearly obvious now. Now, if you're listening and you were his wife, would you have told him that? I'd like to know. Put it in the comments and let me know what you would have done. Would you have been able to sit there in that scenario, a kid on the way, no money, no job? Would you have been able to say that? I don't know. I think I know people that would not have said that. I think I know people that would. I think that in that scenario, it's extra hard, right? With the child on the way. Extra hard. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys have done. That's a rough spot. All right, continue, because that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So by 1987, Schultz had 2 Giornali coffee bars in Humming, and fate presented an unexpected opportunity. Starbucks' original owner decided to sell their 6 Seattle stores. Schultz was determined to buy Starbucks and unite it with Giornali, but he once again needed to raise a healthy sum, $3.8 million, in a hurry. Exhausted, he went back to investors. Many who had initially scoffed at his espresso bar idea now saw promise. With new backers, it seemed Schultz would reach the goal until a last-minute betrayal nearly snatched Starbucks from his grasp. And I think this is where we should play.
Yeah, get that video ready.
That video?
Okay. Yeah, let's show that video. This is really crazy because I feel like this happens so often. So I'll tell a little story while you're loading that video up, because you guys have asked us to tell more of our stories from our journey to this point.
I know there were like 2 posts this week.
Yeah.
Or 2 that are like, we want more stories about you. Why?
Here it was. We were doing a launch, and it was going on for 2 or 3 weeks. We were promoting it. We were getting it filled up. People were signing up. It was going nuts, so crazy. Lots of people had signed up. We had all sorts of stuff. And we came to launch day. Like you think you're like out of the woods, right? Everybody's signing up. This thing is going well. Everything's going great. And I'm driving. First of all, the night before, like always, I mean, it seems like inevitable that there was something going wrong, some major, I can't even barely remember what the catastrophe was, but something went wrong. We ended up staying up till like 4 a.m. trying to get it all sorted.
Our whole affiliate program was and that was the basis of the whole launch. It was
lots of affiliates.
We had a ton of affiliates that were on board for promoting this, and our whole affiliate program was not working.
It wasn't working. We were freaking out. We were up till 4 a.m. We were like, okay, we finally got to get some sleep after we got a little bit of it sorted and a plan. I was back up in a couple of hours, driving back to the office to go and get this party started. And on my way, I get a flat tire. And it's like, isn't it just, what do they say? Murphy's Law, right? Isn't it Murphy's Law that I get a flat tire right on the way? And so I remember half in tears, calling up Lex on my way. And I'm like, I just don't know what we did to deserve this, because I got a flat tire. And she's like, are you going to make it? And I'm like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And, then afterwards, it was a huge success. A whole lot of things came together after that point. I did end up getting there in time. And ironically, that's become a bit of a joke for us, because we're like, oh, something massively wrong happened right before everything was about to blow up. And it's funny how that happens over and over again. But it does take that resilience. It has, that's part of the roots of 7-8 for us. Like, you got to get back up. Like, I'm out there with my hands dirty trying to change a tire as fast as I can. And I don't know, like, I'm not a normal tire car changer. It doesn't happen to us all very often. So changing a tire isn't exactly like, oh, I remember exactly how to do it. I mean, maybe some of you out there, but for most people, you don't change a tire very often. So I'm out there like frantically trying to figure out how to do this again, that I do once every 10 years. And I ended up getting there, and everything worked out. But in the moment, it sure didn't feel like that. It sure felt like everything was falling apart. So here he is, right? In the moment, he finally he's like, okay, I'm going to get to buy Starbucks back, and this is going to just like take it off. Okay, I have to go raise the money. All right, I finally got the money. Let's go. And now somebody's going to steal it out from right underneath him. Oh my gosh. You got that clip ready?
Yeah, it started playing. So I had to wait just a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's pull that up and enjoy. Let's give credit to wherever this came from. Do we know where this came from?
Valuetainment, but it's
they reproduced
they reproduced it. Yeah.
Or they stole it from somewhere else. Okay. But still, Valuetainment is a great channel. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So can you add it to the screen, Michael?
I can. Go ahead.
So I tell him the whole story, and
okay, here we go.
His price was $3.8 million in 1987. And so the good news is the opportunity, bad news, no money. So I went to my existing investors to try and raise the $3.8 million. And Jerry said, if you can raise the money in 60, 90 days, it's yours. But at the same time, just to cover myself, I'm going to start talking to other people in case you can't raise the money. A week or two later, he calls me up and says, I got some bad news. I've got an all cash offer. And it turned out that one of our investors had gone around me and tried to steal the opportunity. And I tell you, I was just heartbroken. I couldn't believe it. The guy who was intending to do this was a titan in Seattle at the time. He's here and I'm down here. I would have no access to him. No one knew Bill Gates, but everyone knew Bill Gates Sr. I walk in the office, I tell him the whole story, and he says, I'm just going to ask you two straight up questions. Is everything you told me true? I said, Mr. Gates, 100% the truth. Have you left anything out? I said, no. And he says, we're going to take a walk. I don't know where we're going. We take a walk across the street, literally. We go up to the top floor, and then I realize we're walking into the other man's office. And Bill Gates stands over him, just like this, walks in and said, I'm going to walk out of this office, and you are going to stand down, and Howard Schultz and Starbucks Coffee are going to never hear from you again. Are we clear? I'm just like, holy.
Wow.
And the guy kind of wilts and says, I understand. We walk out. And I just said, Mr. Gates, what just happened? And he said, you're going to own Starbucks Coffee Company, and my son and I are going to help you. And they did. And we bought the company for $3.8 million.
Ooh.
Okay, I want you guys to put yourself in those shoes. You're following Bill Gates Sr., right? Which a lot of people don't know was very wealthy.
I had no idea.
And a great businessman. clearly. And he takes you for a walk across the street to the other guy's top floor offices, which implies that the other guy was quite well off. And all of a sudden you're in this situation. Can you imagine just tagging along with that and him like laying into this other guy and the other guy backing down? Ooh. Wow.
So crazy.
Wow. That's crazy. And now all of a sudden, bam, you're exploding just like that. And I'm sure it wasn't just like that, but I'm sure they had to go through their fair share of hard knocks from that point forward. That's crazy. What a crazy story. I mean, talk about getting knocked down and even going into the office to talk to Bill Gates Sr. the first time. I mean, you're like, this is like, you kind of going in with your tail between your legs and just figuring it's all over anyway, right?
Right.
Holy cow. There are so many parts of that just blow me away.
Yeah.
You gotta have some guts.
You have to have some serious guts to just and just serious vision about what you're doing to continue to fight through those things. It's like, all right, like I've got the money. Here I am. I've got it. Oh, JK, here's this investor that is going to come in and is actually going to buy it instead. So not yours anymore. So then he has the guts to go to another investor. That investor makes it all happen.
Wow.
And yeah, so yeah, pretty crazy story. I mean, there's obviously the stories of after, when he is at Starbucks and then he leaves Starbucks and then he came back. He's retired and left, I think, like 3 different times.
Really?
Yeah, and so, like, specifically, he stepped aside in 2000, and then in 2007, he came back and he wrote a blunt memo to Starbucks top executives
Oh,
titled
geez.
the the commoditization of the Starbucks experience. In it, Schultz voiced his alarm that in order to achieve growth, we have had to make a series of decisions that, in retrospect, have led to the watering down of the Starbucks experience and the commoditization of our brand. So then he actually came back to Starbucks at that time and he changed the culture and he closed Starbucks all of their locations for a day to do training
Wow.
because he was so committed to making sure that they like
That
improved
had
their
to have cost
culture.
them
It costed them
billions.
millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's no joke. That costed them millions of dollars. So that's like a little bit after, but I think the main story is really,
That's crazy.
that
Let's talk a
investment.
little bit about commoditization because
Yeah.
I find in my travels and talking with people, some people get the concept and some people aren't familiar with the concept. So if you're not familiar with commoditization, let's think about bread and milk. This is my favorite example. If you go to
It's a good one.
Walmart or a grocery store, typically the milk is in the back corner of the store, the very farthest back corner. And that's pretty normal. And that's because milk is a commodity. It's a price battle to the lowest possible price because everybody wants it and needs it. So when you go into a Walmart and it's at the back of the warehouse, you have to walk past everything, all the end caps, all the specials, all the sales, all the things to get there. And then you have to walk past it, all of it again to get back. And they're hoping that you're going to pick up something else. That's their model. That's one of their models. And the thing about it is milk is commoditized. They're making small amounts, very small amounts. Now, of course, Walmart is huge and some of those stores are huge. So they're making still a lot, but they're making very, very, very small margin. That's
Right.
because it's been commoditized and it's hard to compete on a product or a service that has been commoditized. So think about where you're at. For those of you that already have a business established and you're already moving and shaking, look at your business and say, hey, am I heading towards a space where I've commoditized my business? And if you are, then you've got to work on your offer, right? And if
Offer,
you're brand
offer,
new, you got to work on your offer. Now, either way, the other thing Lexi mentioned earlier is that you got to have such a clear vision. You have to have such a really good vision of where you're going, because that vision will help you to shape your offer. And so that's where those two things come in and tie together. Think about it this way. If somebody can look at your thing and immediately price shop you, then your thing is a commodity and not an offer.
Yep.
You don't want to get price shopped, meaning, oh, you're selling a rangefinder. Great. You're selling the rangefinder for $100. I'm going to immediately look at another rangefinder and see who has the lowest price. And now I'm going to start price checking everybody to see who has the best value for the lowest price. That's
Welcome to Amazon.
Welcome to Amazon. That's a very interesting space, right? And so if you guys are selling on Amazon, there are cool ways to get around that with offers. So you might want to consider an offer as opposed to otherwise. And I've seen them do it. Like, I've bought stuff from people on Amazon that really get it, and they have figured out how to decommoditize their thing that is a commodity, which is a really cool strategy. Another topic for another conversation. But I think the important part there is that as he wrote to his executives, that, I mean, he was retired at that point, right? He was pointing out that they had accidentally, maybe purposefully headed towards commoditization.
Well, he admits that he was part of that because of what they had to do in order to stay alive.
Oh yeah, well, to stay alive, yeah, and we're all guilty of that for sure.
Yeah,
that's crazy, but a cool thing, right? You got to get really clear on your vision, and I think, you know, in having that conversation with so many business owners and soon to be solopreneurs and owners with these great visions. The funny thing is they have this great vision, but that's the thing they want to spend the least amount of time on, because they want to get in the weeds right away. And oftentimes we find ourselves kind of like hammering the vision, and they're like, why are we still hammering the vision? And it's because it is so important, because there will be a time when everything hits the fan and you've got to try to figure it out. And that vision, and the clear vision, is going to really, really make
the why.
And that why, that's absolutely it. And I think that why is part of the vision, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I love it.
That's what we have for today. And I think it's a great story of someone who kept going after his vision and fell along the way and continued to get back up and continue to believe in this experience of coffee shops that he wanted to have. And I mean, I'm grateful for it. It's definitely an overpriced drink, but I do love going to
But
Starbucks.
you're not buying the drink.
No, you're
drink
buying
is the commodity.
experience. The drink is the commodity, but you are buying the experience. And you know, I love to go work in a Starbucks. And they're all over. And there's part of that that's comfortable as well. You know, you go to any place, you probably can find a Starbucks, and so it just, there's a comfort level and an experience. And now they've added these mugs and the travel mugs, and it's like, oh, let me get this mug. This is cool. And I think they've done a great job. And there's also a status, I think, that comes with Starbucks. Anyway, that's my
a lot of cool elements of that status, experience.
Yeah.
People will pay a premium for something that is otherwise a commodity, when you can actually give them status and experience and comfortability, certainty about where they're at. It's just, they've done a beautiful job at doing that. And if you happen to be one of these, pop-up coffee shops now there's a bunch of them all over the place, different name brands. If you haven't spent hours cultivating and creating your experience and the status that somebody gets for going to you, then you're probably going to lose them, and you're probably going to share them at the very least with Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because if they're willing to pay for it, they might be willing to switch back and forth And that means you're losing a portion of your market share. And that's kind of a crazy thought. So think about your experience, think about that. And it's a big deal, especially when you have a location. I think it's a big deal.
For sure.
Really cool. That's great, Lex. Thanks for preparing that for us today.
Yeah.
I think I learned a lot for sure. And I hope you guys did too. All of you out there listening. I want to remind you a bit about 7-8 before we head out. It's so important that you recognize and realize that 7-8 is part of the journey. You're going to fall. It's not about the exact number of falls. It's about getting back up. And the 8 represents the infinity. And that's why we have that 7 in the logo on its side, right? The 7's fallen down essentially. And the 8 is the infinitely getting back up. And I want you to remember that as you move forward and as you're bringing your idea to life, if you're a new visionary, if you're new to the space, and for those of you that are stuck in the messy middle, because there are a lot of you that have had the vision, you got started, you started moving, you started creating it, and you're in that messy middle where you might have a Frankenstein business. It's okay. If you've bootstrapped a business, you know, it's part of it. But you just got to keep getting back up. So until next time, keep getting back up. 8. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of 7-8, where rising isn't optional, it's who we are. If you're walking through the fire right now, or if you've already come out the other side, we want to hear your story. Head over to 7eight.life. That's SEVEN 8.life. And tell us what you've been through, how you got back up, and what you've learned along the way. Your voice could be the one someone else needs to hear right now. And while you're there, suit up. The 7-8 gear isn't just clothing, it's armor for the battle, a symbol of what you've been through and the fact that you're still here. Wear it, own it, rock it. And until next time, keep getting back up. 8.